Welcome and thank you for joining me for the video learning guide by Airborne Canine Dog Training. This video guide is going to assist you with lesson 1 of our obedience program. In lesson 1, we will be discovering how to load our marker, how to classically condition our marker, and how we begin using our marker to teach the behavior of heel. So our learning objectives for today is going to be our introduction to canine learning, our marker conditioning, and we will go over heel today. In future lessons, we'll cover sit, place, down, and recall. So behaviors that are reinforced are more likely to occur in the future. We will be talking about different types of reinforcement. Today, we will be talking primarily about positive reinforcement. When we are talking about positive reinforcement, we are providing our dog something that our dog likes as a response to a behavior that they have performed. So, if my dog has performed a specific behavior, like a sit or a down, when they get a treat for that behavior, this is called positive reinforcement. Anytime you hear the word positive, I want you to think about adding something or giving something to your dog. When you think about reinforcement, we're doing something to make a behavior happen more in the future. Marker conditioning. You can choose any word or sound to be your marker. And what we are going to do is we're going to teach our dog that that word or sound just means that their food is coming or their reward is coming. For this exercise, you're going to use their regular food, ideally their kibble. So we want them to be fairly hungry and willing to do something for their food. Before we begin, it's important to choose a marker that you want to use, and this is a marker that you're going to use through all training with your dog. So choose a word that is short, easy to say, and you can say consistently every single time. If you want to ensure consistency, we do also highly recommend considering using a clicker for your marker. Our clickers are available on our website, airbornecanine.com, in our gear shop. Watch this short video on how to load or charge your marker. This is just the process of conditioning your marker. To replicate what you'll see in this video, you will need your dog, a leash, some food, and whatever you're going to be using as your marker. We are going to go over how to load your marker. Your marker can be any word or sound as long as it is consistent every single time you say it or make that sound for your dog. So, because the consistency is so important, my personal favorite is to use my clicker. So I'm going to start with my clicker and show you how we load our clicker. So if you notice, I have my dog on leash, I have my treat pouch full of his breakfast, and so we're just going to start by clicking our clicker and then giving him some food. Important thing I want you to pay attention to is that when I click, I am not moving any other part of my body. I'm not reaching into my pouch, I'm not bringing the food to him, I'm not doing anything else when the click happens. After the click, that's when I reach into my treat pouch to grab some food to provide to him. So this is very important because in order for our dog to establish that marker conditioning, which is when he hears that clicker, he gets excited. He's already been conditioned many times before this, but when he hears that clicker, watch how he reacts. A little excitement, he immediately looks at the treat pouch, right? So every time he hears that clicker, he knows that food is coming. Okay? So when you're practicing this at home, be very careful to use your clicker, then move to give your dog a treat. If you want to have the food in your hand already, you can. But I want that food to be stationary when you give your dog your marker. Then you bring the food to them. Now, I'm not particularly asking for any behavior. I'm not waiting for any behavior. We've done training with him plenty of times in the past, so he's offering me behaviors because they've been reinforced in the past. But when I'm first loading my clicker, I'm I'm not asking or waiting for anything in particular. He doesn't have to be looking at me. He doesn't have to be sitting, standing, laying down, anything like that. As long as he's just kind of here and he's hungry, which is very important, I can mark and I can give him his food. Now, like I said, it can be any sound or word. So if you want to use a word, I highly recommend using the word good. That is a very commonly accepted marker used by many trainers. So we're going to use the word good. I'm going to show you how we condition that. Just like we condition with clicker, but instead of clicking, I'm just going to say the word good. So it's important that you say it the same way every single time. And I want it to be fairly short. So when I say my marker word good, I'm going to say good. And then I feed. Good. If you notice, when I'm using my marker word, it sounds the same every time. Good. Just like with the clicker, when he hears the word good, I want him to think that the food is coming. Good. The reason why this is important is because our dogs don't understand the differences with inflection and tone. So if I have my marker word, good, and we're out training and I get really excited because my dog did a great thing and I go, good, he does not understand the difference between those two words. He doesn't understand that they're the same word. So I have to try and really stay consistent with saying it good every single time, especially during this conditioning phase. So remember, we say the marker or we give the marker sound, good, then we move. If we are moving at the same time that we say the marker, so if I go, good, our dog will never actually develop that conditioned response to it. My dog will never hear that word and think, oh good, the food's coming. Good. So, practice this. I would make it at least all of your dog's meals for a few days. And then once that is conditioned, we're going to start to go into our actual obedience, where we're going to start to use this marker to tell our dog when they're doing the things we like. Now pay attention, my dog is on the leash with me. My dog is hungry. This is his breakfast. This is the first thing he's eaten today. And I have my food ready, and I have my clicker ready if I'm using my clicker. And it's a quiet environment here. There's not a lot of other things going on. I don't have my other dogs running around. They're put away. The kids aren't bothering him. It's just me and my dog, so my dog can focus on the task at hand. So remember that when you're preparing to condition your marker at home. As a bonus, if you are interested in learning about a new technology called the Treat and Train, it is a device that automatically provides a reward following a marker. The device itself provides a beep as the marker and then provides the food following the beep. It comes with a remote control that you hold, and you can activate the device when your dog has performed behaviors appropriately. I want to demonstrate how the Treat and Train works and how it can take away some of the heavy lifting of marker conditioning and marker training. Sometimes it can be really hard to differentiate or separate that marker from our wanting to reach into our pouch and provide that to food to our dog. So that way, our dog really struggles to get that marker conditioning because we're moving at the same time we're feeding. The Treat and Train is a really great device that allows us to separate our movements from the actual marker. So the Treat and Train will provide a marker sound, a beep, and then it'll automatically dispense the food. So Bruno has never used the Treat and Train before, so we're going to see what happens. He's going to hear it and see what happens. Like I said, he's never used it before, so he's not really sure what to think of it, and makes a little funny sound, so I can help him get a little comfortable, show him, hey, look it, it's your food. Your food is in there. And he says, wow, that's great. And this way, it completely takes human error out of the equation when it comes to the conditioning process. So each morning, if I want, I can just place Bruno's food in here and just click away. time he's hearing that beep. But he's pretty food motivated and he's a super smart little dog, so it won't be long before he figures out that beep means food's coming. Once our dog is conditioned to understand that the beep means that food is coming, now we can use this to remotely reward behavior. So if I want to reward my dog for doing something over there, I can do so without having to walk over, approach him, and delay that reward. So I can have that treat and train, either I can put it in the kennel, I can put it on the place bed, so that way I can be remotely rewarding my dog on the place bed for holding a nice play stay while I'm working on my computer. But before we ever do that, we really just want to condition our dog to understand that beep means that food is coming. And then once that food is gone, that's the end of the training session. Sit. No. Sit. 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 Spend a few days conditioning your marker. What this means is that every bit of food your dog eats throughout each day for a few days should be during your marker conditioning sessions. Once your marker is properly conditioned, we'll then be able to use that marker for all of the behaviors that we're about to teach your dog. So let's get started with heel. Before we start with heel, it's important to understand exactly the behavior that you're asking of your dog or that you would like your dog to perform. We want to simply understand that heel is the position at your left-hand side. So, if we ever ask our dog to heel, it just simply means that our dog should be standing on our left-hand side or sitting on our left-hand side, facing the same direction we are. This is going to help our dog understand the simplicity of the behavior. This applies to when we are standing still or when we are moving forward. We will talk about doing left turns, right turns, and about turns in future lessons. We begin teaching heel with a game. We call this the attention game. The objective of the game will be to simply get your dog's attention. However, like every good game, there are rules. The rules of the attention game are you cannot say anything that tells your dog to do something. That means we cannot tell our dog to come, here, look at me, get over here, and we cannot say our dog's name. We'll use our dog's name in the future as a possible recall command. The only words you'll be able to use throughout the game will be anything that means nothing to the dog, i.e. you can use gibberish words or you can use other random words that you like to try and get your dog's attention. And you will use your marker when your dog looks at you and moves towards you. Watch this short video on how to play the attention game with your dog. So we are going to go over the introduction to heel, and we like to use a game called the attention game to start to introduce the heel position. We don't like to jump right into doing formal heel, so this is going to be a really nice way to start to help our dog, one, enjoy training, two, start to focus on us and not focus on the ground. And then we will start to use this game to slowly shape our heel position.
So, like any good game, the attention game has a few rules. First rule is you cannot tell your dog to do anything. So I can't tell my dog, come here, get over here, look at me, sit down, heel, anything like that. The only thing I can tell my dog, or the only things I can say, are things that make no sense. Just sounds, words that are just gibberish words, words that have no meaning in this context. The other thing I can't do is I cannot say his name. So I can't say bro, 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 bro. My dog's name is Bro. And so I can't say his name because we might use that as our recall command later. So we don't want to use any words that could potentially have meaning for him later. The only word we're going to use right now, or the only sound we're going to use right now that has any meaning, should be our marker. So watch the video on our marker conditioning. Your marker should already be conditioned. It should already be charged or loaded, whatever you want to call it, meaning that when our dog hears that marker, I'm going to be using my clicker, but you can use the word good. If you're using a different word for your marker, you can use that as well. That's the only thing we're going to use. So what we're going to do is the objective of the attention game is just like it sounds. It is to get our dog's attention. Right now, my dog is looking around. I essentially do not have his attention. When my dog looks at me, or when my dog starts to move towards me, I am going to mark using my marker, either good or click or whatever. Now, I can do anything I want to get my dog to pay attention to me, except for those things that we're not allowed to do in the rules. Can't tell him to do anything. We can't tell him heel, sit down, look at me, come to me, anything like that. I can't say his name. What I can do is I can make some noises. So if I make a couple kissy sounds and he looks at me, I'm going to mark and then I'm going to pay him with his food. So we're going to do one repetition so you can kind of see what it looks like. So he's off here, he's distracted, and I go, look at that. I got his attention, he looked at me, I clicked, and I paid. Okay, so we're going to do it again. Now, you don't have to wait for your dog to get distracted, but when you first start, your dog probably will be distracted. We've trained with Bro quite a bit, so he's like, oh, I know what we're doing. The leash is on, the clicker's out, the treat bag's out. We're working. So he's waiting for me to tell him to do something. So if we're over here and we're sniffing at the ground or whatever, and I make some kissy noises, I'm going to wait until he gets a little bit distracted. And I go, good. Now, if you notice, a little cheat that I like to do, and if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, as I am making those noises, I'm also moving. Like I said, you can do whatever you want to do to get your dog's attention, except for tell them to do something, which means if I want to dance around like a crazy person and that gets my dog's attention, great. If I want to clap my hands and that gets my dog's attention, awesome. If I want to move around and that gets my dog's attention, perfect. And we can combine all of these things. So if my dog's over here and looking at something, I go, and I back up, and he's coming towards me, awesome. And I can mark and I can reward. So what I'm looking for is the moment he decides to pay attention to me, I can mark and reward. Even if I'm not actively trying to get his attention, right? It's on easy mode. He knows what we're doing. So this is just level 1 of the attention game. Good. Now, I do like to use multiple clicks sometimes. It's a different type of marker, but we're going to really focus on doing one. It's just a poor habit of mine. All right. Awesome. And like I said, you don't have to wait for him to get distracted. All I'm doing is developing a positive association with moving towards me. Right? And of course, I can say all sorts of nonsense words. And remember, good marker practices. Good Bowies. I know. We're not doing tricks right now. It's the trouble of trying to do a demo with a dog who knows stuff. I'm going to try and offer it. So, we want to have good marker practices. So even still, I want to try not to feed at the same time that I'm clicking. So if my dog's giving me his attention, and then I'm going to feed him. But I'm going to wait until after the click to move my hand. So I can click, then move, okay? Rewatch the marker conditioning video if you need to. Marker best practices, click, then move. So remember, you're doing a lot of stuff now. We're moving around, we're making noises, doing all sorts of crazy stuff. Pay attention to what your hands are doing. You're not going and clicking and moving at the same time. So, even there, I did it myself. I started to put my hand in my pouch. Bring my hand down. Good. And it doesn't have to be a long delay, but if you're still kind of getting used to it, take as much time as you want. There's no rush. He knows what the clicker means, and that's the beauty of our marker. It allows us to take our time rewarding our dog. Okay? The marker, he knows, means he's getting rewarded. Good. All right. So now we're going to move on to level 2. In level 1, we're just looking for our dog to move towards us. For level 2, we're going to start to ask a little bit more than just come towards us or pay attention to us. Now I'm only going to reward him when he's paying attention and on my left-hand side. Now what is going to help with this is the fact that I am feeding him with my left hand. My treat pouch is on my left side. So he knows that this bag is his magical bag full of food. And he knows that he's going to get fed by this hand. So he's going to already kind of hang out towards my left, which is awesome. So if you want to go back and redo level 1 and you need to reset where your treat pouch is, go ahead. There's no rush. There's no need to get to level 2 as fast as you can. If you come out and you're working on a different behavior later on during the program, and you want to get your dog's attention, just do this for a little bit. Okay? All right, so for level 2, we're trying to get our dog on the left-hand side. So I'm only going to feed him when he's on my left and he's paying attention. Now, if you notice, as he's coming towards me, I'm kind of helping him out a little bit, right? I'm going to kind of move him onto my left side or move my body so he ends up my left side. Right? Now, I can start by having him come towards me, and if I want, I can just go with him, right? And then when he's on my left-hand side, I can feed. So if we're going this way, when he ends up my left side, I click and I feed. The other way, and this might be a little bit challenging for some of our newer handlers, but if you want to try it, you totally can. We're going to start to shape what we call a finish, where our dog flips into that heel position. So I'm going to ask my dog to come towards me with some goofy sounds. What are you looking at? What is it? Good. Now he's coming towards me, and then I'm just going to walk forward. Now he wasn't quite looking at me, right? So that was a bad practice on my part. Right, he comes towards me, and I'm just going to walk forwards. Now, if you want to use your food to help guide your dog, you can. Don't rely too much on your food to put your dog into that position. If you do this every single time, your dog is going to really struggle to do this behavior when the food is not present. So I really want to try and get our dog to do this without the food. All right. So level 3 is when my dog is not only paying attention to me, also on my left-hand side, but in what you are going to want as your final heel position. So the beauty of our marker, if you're using the word good, making sure your word good is very short, not good or who's a good boy, right? We want a very short good. Because sometimes what's going to happen is our dog's going to come up and then fly right by us, right? He might kind of come up and then end up out in front of me. Now, For a moment there, he was in the right position, but then it was very quick when he ended up in the wrong position. What the marker can do is it can pinpoint the exact moment he's exactly where I want him. Okay? So this is level 3. And if it takes you a whole day to get through level 1, take the whole day. Oops, got my clicker. If it takes you a whole nother day to get through level 2, take the whole day. If it takes a whole week, doesn't matter. There's no rush. So for level 3, be very patient. If you miss the opportunity to mark, don't just mark too late. I want you to think about your marker like taking a photograph, right? If I'm trying to capture the moment my dog is in the exact right position, but then I take a photo of him like this is what my dog is going to think is correct, because this is what I'm taking a photograph of for him. I'm taking a mental picture of what he's doing at the moment that he hears that marker, okay? So we want to try and be as precise as possible about marking when our dog is in the heel position, okay? Now this gets tricky. So take your time, practice, spend a lot of time in levels 1 and 2 before we start to really get into level 3, okay? Now, if my dog's in a down, right, this is a behavior I've taught him in the past, and I want him to get up, I'm just going to tell him free. This is a habit you can start to get into if you want to. If your dog's offering you sits, they're offering you downs. You know, I haven't told him to do this. I'm still going to tell him, you're free! And that's going to allow him to get up, all right? I don't really want him to get in the habit of just getting out of the down position on his own. So as soon as he's in the heel position, exactly where I like him, and exactly, you know, paying attention to me, that's when I'm going to mark. Puppy. And if he's getting distracted, that's okay. I'm not going to be yanking on the leash. Puppy. I probably dropped a couple kibble, and that's okay. Hey, what are you doing? All right. So he looked up at me, and immediately I marked. I'm not waiting for him to do this for a long time. Hey, what are you doing? Puppy. The moment he gives me what I want, immediately mark, okay? Don't wait for him to stay there for a long time. Don't wait for him to do it for a half a mile. Puppy. Right? The moment he's exactly where I want, I'm going to go ahead and mark. Oops, that's not what I want. Now I clicked, and it took me a while for him to get the food. That's okay, there's no rush. That's the beauty of the marker. Hey, what you doing? What you doing? Good. Good Bowie. He's a handsome Bowie. He's a handsome Bowie. And again, if I'm going to have the food in my hand, and then bring the food to him, all right? Don't rely too much on having your dog focus on your hand. Make sure they understand it's about looking at you, not looking at the food, okay? We will talk about the different ways we can teach behaviors. Luring is one of them. Luring is just where my dog is following the food. But that is not the end-all be-all of teaching, because once that food is gone, what's he looking at? But I want him to know, I want him looking up at me, not at my hands. Puppy! Puppy! He wasn't quite looking at me that time. I thought I was going to catch him. All right. And that is the beginning of teaching the heel position. All right. So you've been doing our attention game for, let's say, a few days, a week, who knows? And your dog is just hanging out in the heel position. His heel is great. But if you haven't noticed, we haven't really told him to do anything yet, right? We want to be able to tell our dog, Fido, heel, and our dog go into that heel position, stay in that heel position. So we're going to continue with level 3 of our attention game, where our dog is hanging out in that heel position, doing a great job, walking politely at my side. I can mark and reward this as many times as I want. The more you reward this behavior, the more it will happen, the more our dog will offer it, the more our dog will love doing this behavior of walking politely next to us. So my dog is hanging out next to me. He loves being next to me because I've been doing this with him all week. So I'm going to start to introduce the heel command. The way I introduce the heel command is exactly like everything else we've been doing so far, where I can go puppy, puppy, puppy. He looks at me, he's in the heel position. I mark, I reward. All I'm going to do when I want to add the heel command is I'm going to say the heel command while my dog is already in the heel position right before I click. So my dog's next to me, I can say heel, click, feed. And we're going to do that again. Heel, click, feed. Puppy, heel. Whoops. I clicked before I said heel. So, heel, click, feed. And again, take your time. There's no rush. Now, if you notice, I'm not going for long walks around the neighborhood. Heel, click, feed. I'm doing this in a very small space in part of my yard. I'm not expecting my dog to do this around the block just yet. So, how do we get to the point where I can take my dog for a walk? Heel, click, feed. How can I teach my dog to heel with me for a block, 2 blocks, a quarter mile, a half mile? Heel, click, feed. Well, right now, our dog is 100% successful heeling between the word heel and the sound of that click. So, if we want our dog to heel longer, all we're going to start to do is put a little bit of a delay between the word heel and that click. So if my dog is hanging out next to me, I can go heel, click, feed, right? If I want to do it without the food, I totally can. Heel, click, feed. And now I'm going to start to delay that click just a hair. I know. He is fixated on my hand a little bit, right? Because he's looking for that food, and that's okay. Heel, click, feed. Heel, click, feed. Now, if you pay really close attention, you'll see that I'm saying the word heel on my left foot. Heel, click, feed. And I'm clicking on that right foot. Heel, click, feed. All right? This is going to make life a little bit easier as we start to add more duration to our heel. Right? So heel, click, feed. Heel, click, feed. Because when I want to add even more duration to my heel, it's going to become more simple if I can just use my footsteps. So right now, I'm saying heel on one foot and I'm clicking on the other foot. So if I wanted to add more duration, all I got to do is add an extra step. So what it would look like is heel, wait, click, feed. We're going to do it again. Heel, click, feed. And if you're practicing this at this point where you're starting to do this out in the driveway, heel, click, feed. You can then add another step. So it'd be heel, click, feed. So as you're practicing this, spend a few days just doing that one step in between. Spend a couple more days just doing that 2 steps in between. Spend a few more days just doing 3 steps in between. All right? After you click, your dog has successfully done the behavior, let them eat their food, everything's great. All right, and then you're just going to keep adding a little bit more duration and distance. We'll talk about the 3 Ds here shortly. So duration is just how long can my dog stay in that heel position before I reward him? And how far can I walk with my dog in that heel position before I reward him?
I hope this video guide has been helpful, and I look forward to having you join us for our future video lessons on sit, place, down, and recall. Don't forget to check out our resource library on our website, www.airbornecanine.com.